Hello everybody, I'm Nora Burrows. Today we do block 2 of Darlene Michaud's block of the month. Darlene Michaud, fellow YouTuber, she's doing a block of the month. Last month was a little cat in the middle, and today is going to be a heart surrounded by the squares and rectangles. It's super cute. So check out her video for all of the measurements. Last name is Michaud, Darlene Michaud, and then come back here, watch this video, watch her video. Let's get started and look at some fabric. Here are the fabrics that I'm thinking of using for this block. For the heart and background, I'd like to use these two. In Darlene's video, she had said that she wanted to use a plaid and she didn't have a plaid. So I thought I would use a plaid just to do a little homage to Darlene. So this will be my heart, this will be the background, and then the squares and rectangles that go around this will be this. Let's work on the heart first. I'm gonna cut out my pieces. I've cut my heart pieces out here, and as I mentioned, you need to go watch Darlene's video to get these measurements, but I will say that I cut each one of my pieces exactly a ½ inch bigger than hers. So it's a ½ inch longer and a ½ inch wider for each piece. So 1/4 inch on each side. What I've done, just like Darlene did, is draw my diagonals on the little squares as well as the rectangles. And the rectangles you need to make going in opposite directions. We have our heart piece here. We have our background on top. And we're gonna shift this just like this. So it goes, the diagonal goes from the top corner up here to the bottom corner down here. We'll sew along this line so that when we open it up, this will be the bottom of our heart. Then for this one, we'll do the opposite. We'll rotate this like this so that the line goes from the top corner on the right to the bottom corner on the left. Sew along this line, and when we open it up, that will be the bottom of our heart. I have my 2 pieces sewn. I'm gonna cut 1/4 inch back from my line on this side, and then I'll do the opposite side for this one over here. And then press. Here we have our 2 pieces. We're not going to sew these together yet, but next we're going to take our 2 heart squares and our little 4 background squares, and we're going to sew. Let's see, how do we do it? Just like this. I've sewn both my pieces. Now I'll take my scissors and cut the back off and iron to the dark side. Next, I will put my background squares on each side of the top of my heart, facing opposite ways, and sew from corner to corner and corner to corner. And now that I've sewn on that line, we'll cut the back piece off on both of these and then press. Aha, look at that. It's really starting to look like a heart. Now, next, Darlene kind of trimmed the bottoms off of her heart. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave mine on. And I'm going to sew my top piece to my bottom piece, right sides together, 1/4 inch, and same on the other side. So now I'll sew this unit to this unit, right sides together, 1/4 inch, and open. Before I do that, I'll probably trim along each of these sides, because as you can see, it's not quite straight, and that can end up making your block a little bit wonky, and not wonky in a good way, wonky in kind of a not lying flat way. So I'll trim that and then sew these 2 pieces together. The other thing I'm noticing is that if I line up these 2 seams, this seam and this seam, you'll notice that the heart point won't meet up there. So if I put those 2 together, the heart point won't meet. I'm not sure why that is. Darlene had a little bit of trouble with her heart as well. But what I want to do is match them up here instead. Let's see, what does that do to the bottom of the heart? If I do that at the bottom there as well, if I match that up, that will work out just fine. Look at that beauty. Beautiful. I love this heart. The elongated shape is so cool. This time of year, you just see all of these big chunky hearts, and this one is so different. It's very folk art-ish, in my opinion. So I'm going to do something a little bit different than Darlene here. Darlene next just put a border along hers. I'd like to give my heart a little bit of breathing room, just like I did with the cat in the last block. Now, I don't have a lot of room here if I'm also going to add a border. I'll only really have enough room to do a 1/2 inch on either side of background and then a 1/2 inch of border, which means I'll be cutting my strips to be, no, sorry, that's not right. I only have enough room to do a 1/4 inch of background and a 1/4 inch of border, which means I need to cut my strips 1/2 inch. All right, I've started to complicate things here. I added actually a 1 inch piece to the side, so this is now 3/4 inch is the border on the side. I don't really want to add a border along the top and the bottom because I feel there's plenty of room there. This piece without a border is exactly the size it's supposed to go into the quilt, which is a little bit of a problem. But the length, I need more length. So what I think I'm gonna do is just put on this black border. I did use this black in the previous block, the cat block. I'm gonna sew a 1 inch strip around the whole thing, just see what size I'm at and how I might have to adjust the other squares and rectangles at that point. Here it is, looking mighty fine. I really, really am happy with this. Now, it's a 1/2 inch wider than it needs to be and a 1/2 inch shorter than it needs to be. So basically, I'm just gonna leave it like this, but the blocks that are going around it, the squares and the rectangles, the ones up above, I'm gonna make a 1/2 inch wider. The ones that go up here, I'm gonna make a 1/2 inch taller. And then the ones that go along the side, I'll need to make a 1/2 inch thinner. I don't know exactly how this is gonna work out or if my measurements, if I did this right, but I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna cut out some pieces using these fabrics here. I had initially had this kind of pink geometric one in the mix, which I think is kind of cool, but I'm gonna see, I'm not sure if I'm gonna use that or not, but let me cut out some of the squares and rectangles. My pieces are cut and I've even started sewing some of them together, as you can see. I decided not to use the pink and instead just use kind of these same colors over and over again. I did the same thing that I did last time where for at least this part here, I used the same fabric to kind of make it look like a continuation. Last time I did that more frequently and I kind of wish I had done that a little more here. There's a little bit that will kind of come together right there, but that's kind of a nice thing that I like to do, and the heart in the middle is just looking great. So I'm gonna sew this up in the order that Darlene sewed it up, and then we'll take a look at it. Here's the finished block. I love it. I think it turned out exceptional. The one thing that I messed up down here with my measurements, so I had to add this extra little piece of black, which I think is fine. The only thing that I would have done different if I were to do this again is to make this piece the same fabric as this here, that black, so that it kind of continued on and had this pop of the plaid that matches the heart. I think would have been really cool. I am almost tempted to rip this piece out and replace it with the black. I may do that, I may not, but I think it's great for now. And the little Scotty dogs, super duper cute. I'll take some pictures and show them at the end of this video. Here are the two blocks next to each other. I thought that I had used this Scotty dog last time in that block, but I guess I didn't. So I used it this time. I think it goes great with the heart. These two blocks look great together, though I think in the final quilt I probably wouldn't put them next to each other. But as I accumulate more blocks, I can play with layout and even maybe add a little bit of sashing of some sort if I want, or not. I think they actually look pretty good just right up against each other. So more to come. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out Darlene's video. Watch her video, Block of the Month #2 with the heart to get all the measurements. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time.